Hi guys, it's me your teacher Belle and welcome to my channel. Kung bago ka pa lang sa YouTube channel ko, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell para maging updated sa mga discussion ko. For this video, I will discuss the underlying accounting assumptions. In the practice of financial accounting, basic assumptions are important to understand the manner in which financial data are presented. And the following class are the basic assumptions underlying the financial accounting structure. So itong mga basic assumptions class, these are the foundations ng accounting. So they support the financial accounting structure. And these are the following class. So we have 5 basic accounting assumptions. First, we have the economic entity assumption, then the accrual basis assumption, going concern assumption, monetary unit assumption, and lastly, the time period assumption. Now let's discuss each of the basic accounting assumptions. To begin, we have the economic entity assumption. Anong meron sa basic accounting assumption na to? In economic entity assumption, it assumes that all of the business transactions are separated from the business owner's personal transactions. Para mas maintindihan ninyo itong basic accounting assumption, let's have an example. We have Mr. Mike Gutierrez, the owner of Bilis Servicio Repair Shop, bought supplies for the school project of his son. And this transaction class of Mr. Mike Gutierrez, yung pagbili niya ng school supplies ng kanyang anak, is an example of a personal transaction. And since this is a personal transaction of the owner, it should not be recorded in the accounting books of the business. Kasi nga, according to economic entity assumption, the personal transaction of the owner must be separated in the business transactions. Yung pagre-record dito, class. Iba lang yung record ng personal transactions ng owner sa transaction ng business. And that is economic entity assumption, class. Now, let's go to accrual basis assumption. Ano naman ang meron sa accrual basis assumption? In this basic accounting assumption class, it requires that all business transactions and other events are recognized in the accounting records when they occur, rather than when the cash or equivalent is received or paid. Anong ibig sabihin nito, class? For example, on June 25, Bilis Servicio Repair Shop, the business, rendered service to a client for 15,000 pesos. Yan, nakapag-provide na nung service si business on June 25. But the service fee was collected on July 4. So, nung July 4 lang nakapagbayad si customer. So, according to accrual basis assumption class, the entity should record the revenue or yung income na pumasok sa business, which is the 15,000 pesos in June. Kasi nga, nung June 25, nakapag-render ng service si business. And that is accrual basis class. I-recognize nung business yung income or revenue once nakapag-render na ito ng service, regardless kung nakapagbayad na si customer or hindi pa. While for the expenses naman or yung mga nagastos ni business, i-recognize ito or i-record ito dun sa accounting books once incurred or nakapakinabangan na yung pinaggastuhan, regardless kung nakapagbayad na yung business or hindi pa. Next, basic accounting assumption class, we have going concern assumption. In going concern assumption, it assumes that a company will continue to exist long enough to carry out its objectives and commitments and will not liquidate in the foreseeable future. Anong ibig sabihin nito, class? An example of the going concern assumption is the prepayment of expenses. Okay. Ano yung prepayments? These are the expenses na binabayaran kaagad nung business. For example, yung advance payment para sa renta. Prepayments yan. And the company prepay expenses, ayun na nga nagbabayad ng advance payment si company because the business believe that it will continue its operations in the future. And that is according to going concern assumption. Na si business is magpapatuloy lang sa kanyang operation na hindi matukoy-tukoy kung kailan ito magsasara or yun na nga hihinto yung operation. Next we have monetary unit assumption. In this basic accounting assumption class, it assumes that only transactions that can be expressed in terms of money are recorded. For example, the purchase of equipment by Bilis Servisyo Repair Shop would be shown in the financial statements since it involved payment of cash. Kasi nga, according to the monetary unit assumption, those transactions na may cash involvement are recorded. But the hiring of employees of the business, which cannot be quantified or walang monetary value, would not appear in the company's accounting records. So that is monetary unit assumption class. Only those transactions na may cash involvement or may monetary value yung isasama sa pag-record dun sa accounting books. Lastly, we have time period assumption. Ito na yung panghuling basic accounting assumption. At ano naman ang meron sa time period assumption? This assumes class that the life of an economic entity or yung business na nga can be divided into artificial time periods for the purpose of providing periodic reports on the economic activities of the entity. And it means that financial statements are prepared at equal time intervals. It may be monthly, quarterly, or annually. So this basic accounting assumption class is for the preparation of the financial statements. Yun na nga, yung life ng business is divided into artificial time periods. And these time periods can be monthly, quarterly, or annually. Or kung kailan kinakailangan yung financial statements. Kung kinakailangan ito buwan-buwan, then the preparation must be monthly. Kung pwede namang quarterly or every 3 months, then quarterly din yung pag-prepare ng financial statements. And some of the businesses, yung pag-prepare nila ng kanilang mga financial statements is annually or yearly. And for an annual accounting period class, it may follow a calendar or fiscal year. A calendar year class is a 12-month period that ends on December 31. So, the financial statements class, yung mga transactions na nakalagay dito or nakarecord dito is from January 1 to December 31 of that year. While a fiscal year is also a 12-month period. Kasi nga, both of them naman is for annual accounting period. Meaning, 12 months sila pareho. But, in fiscal year, it may or may not end on December 31. Meaning, pwede siyang magsimula sa January 1 or other months of the year. Pwedeng February, pwedeng September siya magsimula, depende sa business. As long as makaka 12 months to. Okay, so kung nagsimula siya sa February, then the financial statements will end on January. Basta makakompleto yung business ng 12 months. We have an example here. Same business, si Bilis Servisyo Repair Shop, incurred an expense on the first quarter of its operation. And since this is incurred on the first quarter, then it should be included in the financial statements for the first quarter. kailan nangyari yung transactions, dun siya i-record. Parehas dito, first quarter yung transaction, then it should be recorded in the first quarter. Okay, so we have reached the end of the document. Again, what are those underlying accounting assumptions? We have economic entity assumption, accrual basis assumption, going concern assumption, monetary unit assumption, and lastly, time period assumption. And that ends our discussion for the basic accounting assumptions. I hope you learned something from this video. But still, thank you for listening and see you on our next discussion.